You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Beauty and the Beast After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Beauty and the Beast After Show.
Hey everybody, I'm Alikona Bradford, and welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV. Bing is for doing, and today, after a week-long hiatus, we are back to doing Beauty and the Beast. Joining me today, as always, is Miss Paige Sullivan.
Yes, hello everybody.
And today we have a new host joining us. It's Amber Jaye. Welcome.
Hey guys, how's it going? Good.
Fantastic. So glad to have some new opinions up in here. And last we left Beauty and the Beast. Vince was beasting out, and he was blacking out, actually,
Yes.
and then beasting out, and then finding himself in just random places. And when we come back, he is doing the same thing. So I want to talk a little bit about that. And first and foremost, as we talked about last time, we saw our first shot of Vincent fully
Shirtless.
frontal.
Yes.
And this time we opened up with a nice frontal shot again. I was quite excited. Even though he was a little sad at the
It
moment.
sounds like we're
I
talking
was
about like
okay.
pornography. We had a full frontal of Vincent this episode.
still a very nice view.
It was a very nice view. So, we have a murder, and this time around we're looking for a suspect, and we're thinking that it could be Vincent.
Well, all the facts line up. The stars aligned.
Yes.
He blacks out, ends up in an alley covered in blood, goes home, washes it off. He says, I remember I was at Northampton at midnight.
And of course,
That's
there is
where
a murder at Northampton
At midnight. And he was like clawed up. It looked like he'd been clawed up, but
Yeah.
apparently he wasn't.
Yeah. Which, I mean, my initial thought, too, I don't know about you guys,
Yeah,
but I was
it
like, oh, it was him.
Okay.
It's right on his neck. He
Yeah.
looks-
Yeah.
Here's
yeah.
my thing. When he beasts out, is he like Wolverine? Does he have things that come
Right.
out of his hand? Like, what makes him?
Have claws all of a
Claws.
sudden?
Yeah.
I've never
He's more
seen
like
that.
a Hulk than a beast to me.
That's why I'm
Right.
wondering what the claw thing is.
Not quite sure.
Yeah.
And kind
I
of
don't know.
jumping ahead a little bit, too, another thing that I think leads to him is the check marks that are left on all the victims. We find out there's more victims, but this one in particular, after the crime scene is investigated, there's a check mark. I thought it was a V. I thought he was like V for Vincent, but apparently
No,
not.
I see. Yeah, that's when I was like, it wasn't him, because when he's beasting out, he's not thinking about what he's doing.
Yeah, he's
you
just
think
like
he would take the time to be like, oh, check that,
Yeah.
like, another one off my list? Like, I don't think he would do that. So, for me, once we found that, I was kind of like, he's good. And I was surprised they let Vincent off the hook so quickly this episode.
What do you mean?
Like, I thought he would be the suspect for a lot longer. It was just like, oh, not his blood, wasn't him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So quick.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so quick. I was like, that fast? Like,
Yeah.
you didn't leave us all, like, hanging for a little longer? But,
I was a little upset with JT, to be honest with you, at first. Love his humor, P.S., by the
yeah,
way.
he's the funniest one.
Yeah. However, I was a little upset because he's so always trying to leave Kat out, I feel like. And this time around, when Vince is like, look, they've got this weekend plan, him and Kat, and they got to cancel it because obviously he's doing these blackout things. And Vince is like, you know what, I don't want to lie to her, so let's just tell her what's going on. And JT's like, no, got to keep her out. She might have to turn you in, blah, blah.
I think, honestly, it's just he's worried. You know, you never know who's part of Nearfield or whatever,
Exactly.
and who could turn. I mean, if that was your boyfriend or the guy you liked, and you find out now he might be murdering people and blacking out, most girls would be like, all right, I'll see you later. And if you were a cop, I don't know.
And JT plays his role very well. Like he stays in character and he plays that, you know, he's just not letting her in yet. So I think that it's just going with the overarching theme of who he is and
His
why
character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. And I'm really proud of Kat, to be honest with you, because we've seen her in the past be a little bit selfish. And she, I feel like, is getting a little bit more about him and more selfless in the sense where she's always trying to protect him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Not that she would have ever given him up in the past. She was faced with that decision once. But aside from that, she's just all about him. This
Yeah, I
whole
like it.
episode. I really like it too.
I know, but this episode really kind of creeped me out. This whole episode, it's like this murder, this guy's killed. I hate hazing. Like when I think of hazing, I freak out. Like I get like all nervous. Like I really don't like the idea of it, and the fact that they touched on that in this episode already kind of had me on the edge of my seat because the kid, the pledge who dropped out, was getting these awful voicemails from the pledge master, and that's like crazy.
And I'm sure that probably really happens in life.
Oh,
though.
of course it really does.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that really does happen, and probably worse. And the thing that freaks me out. And then this guy's dead, so it's like, what else is happening? What else is leading up to this? And that had me. This whole episode, I was like, ugh.
Well, it was kind of weird to me that the person who ended up being the killer was
not
even
even
a threat.
relevant.
Like he was
not even relevant.
Yeah, it was so unrelated. So that kind of threw me off a little bit. He's not in the frat. He has nothing to do with what's going on. So it's like you touch on the subject, but then you don't really stay in the subject either.
And this was a lot like last week. Remember, there wasn't that many suspects, and this time there wasn't that many suspects. It was the kid who dropped out, basically, was the only person they really, and they didn't even really question him because he had an alibi. And so they were kind of just digging for who would do this. And other than Vincent, who they ruled out with the blood, it was kind of up in the air. They had no idea.
Right. Going back really quick to anybody who maybe missed the episode, the gentleman that had gotten murdered was the head of fraternity.
He's the pledge master.
Yeah, and he was the one who got murdered. So obviously they're looking at all the pledgees, right?
And the brothers.
Mm-hmm. Thinking that maybe they were the ones that killed him. Obviously it wasn't. But the guy that did eventually, we find out, killed him wasn't, like you said, not even relevant, but he was an fake intern to Evan. Which was a whole new twist that I honestly didn't see coming. Once it did, I was like, oh, okay. But
it made perfect sense when he was there. I mean, extra.
And a little extra sick, by the way, because the only reason he was an intern was just so that he can follow up on his murder and kind of see what's going on. And
I mean, the murder wraps up and we find out who it is. I mean, pretty quickly. But the murder this time, it was less focused on who did it, but like how and why he did it. You know what I mean?
I'm a little confused about that, to be honest with you. I mean, we talked about it a little bit before as far as the gentleman who was committing all the murders. His name is Peter. Peter saw his dad.
This is the first murder he's committed. The first one was his body that was in the lab. It was a cadaver.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He did a practice run, which who does that anyway? That's kind of weird anyway.
Well, I mean,
like
serial killers, they're sick.
Obviously,
there's something wrong.
I mean,
who kills people for a living?
True,
exactly.
This is true. This is. I mean, I put in my application, but unfortunately it was turned down. But the thing is he witnesses his father, basically not witnessed, but found his father's dead body, who had committed suicide. And I understand that is a really traumatic event in your life. But as far as it making you want to go out and kill other people and recreate old murders, in fact, murders that were not suicidal, I don't know.
He says, I don't know if that changed me, if it was already inside of me.
True.
He said that to Evan when he had Evan underground. So I think he questions that himself. I don't think a serial killer really wants to be a serial killer. I mean,
they just have urges.
I mean, and he was a criminology student, so it's like, why are you studying this? I mean, it was just, some of it made sense, but why are you studying this if this is what you're ultimately going to be?
It either inspired him or it intrigued him in that like sick way when he enjoyed it, and that's why he studied it, or maybe he knew he wanted to be it.
But he seemed like he had some sort of compulsion, because even at the end when he was, about to attempt to kill Ethan, it was more so like, you got to do this precisely. And then when the beginning scenes, he was repeating his name, like he's the third, and he does this. So he was very like precise. So he had like the markings of a serial killer, just...
But it was almost obvious from the first second he was on there. We were all kind of like, oh, that's intern. Like, I knew there was something with his intern.
Yeah, it was really odd.
I said it before it even happened. I was like, oh, it's the intern. Before we knew it was him. Just because he had a creepy vibe about him. Just weird.
Yeah, and he was like annoying.
He was up his butt the entire time.
Exactly.
Asking way too many questions.
Right.
Asking questions about things that most interns would just be like, oh, really cool. Like, tell me more about why that's important, not so how do you know that? So how do you put these stories together? How do you know who the murderer is?
How did you remember that check mark? You know, that was
right.
Who really would? But
I mean,
that's why it's his job.
Yeah, that's a unique thing. I think when you're in this career, you have an eye for things like that. Because I would, like Evan said, that check mark I first thought was just a laceration, but it's not.
Right.
He said, I've seen this before.
Exactly.
And so it just, everything about this was really creepy. It was really weird. Freaked me out how he was recreating murders.
Right.
Freaked me out how he was putting himself where he knew, like Kat was saying, he wanted to be where his murder would end up and see it go through to the end and what they would find out about the body and what happened. And it's strange because he was saying, I mean, it was upstairs in that bell tower and it had a beach ball,
Old shoes.
and
Yeah.
an old record. Was it a record?
Yeah, it was like a record.
Yeah, and so he was recreating a murder. We found that in his bedroom. But it's just, and he goes, oh, well, he fit the type. He says, I saw what he did to the Pudges, and it was really wrong, and he was a really bad guy. So it almost made you feel like, oh, he had a heart, but then he's like,
Right.
oh, but he fit the type for the
Right.
murder. He looked like the guy who was murdered in the 20s.
Right.
Just
Yeah. Some of it didn't follow the same flow that the episodes usually follow because it never told you how like the body got out there. Like there were just a lot of unanswered
Yeah.
questions about.
Well, it said he stumbled, so he was still alive when he was
Oh.
walking away. He
Yeah.
died from blood loss. So obviously he managed to get away. But there's no damage done to Peter. He doesn't look like anything's happened to him. He doesn't look like anybody put up a fight. So how did he get away? Did he leave him for dead, or did he get up and
Right.
run away and just die from blood loss on the way? I mean,
and did that happen
Right.
in the original one? Because
Right.
he still had the check mark.
Right.
So.
Well, you know what's interesting
Yeah.
to me about this whole situation, though, is he's recreating murders. But the body that was found, which was
cadaver.
no, not the cadaver.
Derek's body.
Derek's body. Thank you. Derek's body was found, and it had the lacerations on it that looked like something that Vincent had done.
Mm-hmm.
However, that was not the original murder that was in the room with the beach ball.
That's
so I'm
what I'm
wondering
saying.
Yeah.
where that comes into play, because it does look like Vincent. But there was another murder that he was planning on recreating, which was Evan's murder, and he was going to make it look like something the Beast had done in the past, which we saw in episode 1, when we had that big subway scene and Catherine was saved by Vincent the first, well, it's technically second time in her life.
Yeah.
So the point of me bringing it up is it would make sense if the dead body, that like Evan's body, has the lacerations like the clawings, but it doesn't make sense that the guy that was getting killed in the room with the beach ball.
Had those lacerations.
Exactly.
And this episode left a lot to be desired, I have to say, for me, because like you were saying, where's the check mark if he wasn't dead when you left him?
Right.
Why does he have lacerations on him like
Right.
it was Vincent? I get why they did it, because they wanted it to look like Vincent to play out in this episode. I get that. But also, Vincent has blood on his shirt. Whose blood is it?
We don't.
Exactly.
They don't even address it anymore. It's
Right.
like, oh, it's not his blood. Oh, well. And then they just move on. And there wasn't another murder. They said there was one other like gang violence thing. So whose blood is it?
Right.
That's what I want to know. And it's obviously not like he attacked Peter when Peter was attacking Derek,
Yeah.
because he had nothing wrong with him.
Right.
Exactly.
But interestingly enough, you know, even though Vincent's blacking out and he's supposedly possibly committing these murders, it's always people that are bad people. So I don't know if he necessarily still has a conscience or he's just like blindly doing it, because we did see him throw JT across the room. But when faced with the opportunity to hurt Catherine, he never did so. He walked right by her.
At the end. At
Yeah.
the end. The
Yeah.
first time he was distracted by the noise. The second time, yeah, that was strange to me. And so I'm super confused about why this is happening to him. Don't understand
Right.
why it's happening. And what the consistency of this show is just throwing me off this
Yeah.
episode. Normally everything makes sense, but this episode everything's kind of scattered and nothing seems to be lining up. And I don't know if that's intentional to make us all be like, what's going on? But
Right.
I'm not really following it.
Did anybody catch the paralleling part in this?
No.
I didn't either, because I was really looking for it.
I was looking for it too. I did not catch it at all.
Yeah.
No, I can't imagine what it was.
I mean, maybe I felt like the serial killer's dad died, her mom died, but I couldn't even make a connection there. Just there was nothing there.
No.
No, and I'm thinking about trust and everything else, and it's just, I mean, people aren't what you think they are. I don't know, because the intern wasn't what we thought he was. Vincent may not be entirely what
That
Kat
might be.
thinks
That
he
might be
is.
what it is. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. If
That's
this-
really reaching.
This
Yeah, that's-
episode left. Yeah, this episode left us all kind of looking for a little bit more. But on a happier note, everybody here at AfterBuzz, I know I've started my holiday shopping. I don't
Me
know about you
too.
girls. I'm almost done, and I've done a lot of my shopping on Amazon. And an easy way for you guys to help us out here at AfterBuzz is just to go to our website. We have an Amazon banner, and if you're going to buy anything from Amazon, it just takes an extra 3 seconds. Doesn't cost you any more money than the product you're already buying. And you just click on the banner, brings you to Amazon, Go ahead, buy whatever you like, whatever your heart desires. It's just a way for you to help us out, help us keep the lights on here because we get a little kickback from that. So I know everybody's got holiday shopping. We're closing in, so make sure to check that out on our website if you can. We'd appreciate it very much.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. But so, I mean, I think we've kind of killed the murder itself.
Yeah,
Exactly.
But you know what? I do want to go back into Evan, and Evan being a witness now to actually
he's this
seeing
whole
Vincent.
other thing.
That's like a whole. It's going to turn into something I already know because he already seems like a very determined person. Like we've seen him with Kat. Kat tells him no, and he's still going for it. The same thing I think is going to happen with this. He is not going to stop until he figures out who this beast is. Because now all of a sudden he's going to Kat talking about the fact that I believe you now. You know, when you experienced the beast and everybody thought you were crazy, no, it was something.
So luckily he didn't see the
Exactly.
beast.
He just heard
No,
it.
yeah,
He just
yeah.
heard the beast, but he's having this connection with Kat, and he's connecting because I think the problem is his DNA. You know, he's got that weird DNA, and it's linked to all these different murders, and they thought it was a defective microscope or something at first, but really it's obviously we know now it's his DNA.
Right.
And so now he's connecting all of these murders. And
Yes.
I just think this is bad news bears
Oh,
for
absolutely.
Kat because she's involved in all of these murders.
Yes, and she's
You know-
having to cover and lie about it.
Exactly, and she's the sketchiest person out of everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
Tess is very open and very straightforward with what she's doing, and Kat isn't. And I don't think they're gonna tie anything to Kat. I think they're gonna tie it back to the beast she saw, and maybe it's something that's following her. For Evan, at least, I think that's how he might feel,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that because she was there, that's why he was near that beast.
You know, I was reading something. It was an interview that Jay Ryan had given, and he was talking about in the future he feels like his character is starting to feel very threatened by Evan because not only does Evan eventually he'll have the power to unleash his secret, but he's also going to have the ability to possibly take Catherine's heart away from him because we've seen them have a little bit of chemistry, and now that Vincent is in a position to where he feels like he's a danger, especially to her, he's going to keep himself away from her, which means there's just more room for Evan to work his way in.
I think it's going to bring them closer.
Oh yeah,
I think it's going to bring
Evan
them.
and Kat?
Yeah.
yeah, but
Just because they've experienced the same thing, and you know, we see her, you know, she kind of falls back away from him, but I think this is going to bring them closer, and I think this might actually help hide her secret.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one. I mean, I think that they're gonna get a little bit closer, but I don't necessarily think it's gonna be over the beast because even if she chooses to go with the route of an easy romance, meaning not having to deal with all the difficulty of that hidden thing with Vincent, I feel like she's still gonna want to protect him and not let his secret out. So to bond over something like the beast with him, I don't foresee that happening.
But I think that if she bonds with him, it kind of keeps Evan off the trail of him.
Maybe.
I
Maybe.
disagree with both of you. I honestly think there's gonna be no bond. I think this pushes her away because she's fearful now. If she plays too much into it, he's gonna think something's weird. If she plays too much off of it, I think she's gonna try and remain status quo about it. Keep the flirtation going, keep the friendship going. Because if she gives too much, she obviously was heartbroken over what happened tonight. When we find out that she's kind of triggering, which we haven't touched on yet, but she's triggering Vincent's blackouts. Or that's so
what
it
they
seems.
think.
So it seems every time he's going to see her, or he has seen her, or
She's around.
or she's coming to his house, he blacks out. And so it seems as though she's the reason. But I just think she's too heartbroken, she's too invested in Vincent, and I don't think she will jeopardize that in any way. And I don't think Evan's her type anyway. I don't think she would be with him either way.
He's a little obnoxious.
Ugh, he's so into himself.
But he's so good looking.
It's the accent. It's all the accent.
And now he's super like sketched out. Did you see?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was
At
really
the end,
freaked
he was
out.
really freaked out.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked seeing that side of him because he's always so sure of himself and so calm
Right.
and so demure. And this time, he's kind of like freaking out in his office. And I
It's
don't
just
like
another
to
thing
see
to bring him
that.
closer.
Yeah.
No,
As soon as he
No.
humbles himself, it's gonna swoop right in there.
No,
Oh
I
my
mean, I just
gosh.
think that the reason they'd be getting closer again wouldn't be because of Vincent. It's just because he's really persistent, and because if she's not around Vincent, someone's gonna distract her. But we see Tess starting to push her in the direction of,
Firefighters.
hey, I'm okay with that. But well, not really okay with that because obviously I'm go Team Vincent, but I'm okay with seeing the firefighters. and all
Exactly.
Yeah,
this.
very
Some
good
very
looking.
good man
Yes.
candy.
Yes.
This episode.
In fact, Paige and I, I was going to say, no offense to all you firefighters out there, but we're talking about how not all the firefighters necessarily look like the guys on the CW.
No, but then again, nobody in real life really looks like the guys on the CW.
This is true. True story.
You know,
Uh,
you gotta pick your battles. I don't mind watching it on TV. I'll accept reality, and just watch it on TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fine by me.
But I feel, did anybody else notice there was like 1.1 second where Kat was playing with the idea of flirting with some of these guys? I mean, she was talking to them a little bit awkwardly.
I
but
didn't
when
see that.
I feel like when that Mike guy was talking to her, somebody, just the way she looked at him, it's
But-
like it was a thought in her mind for a hair of a second, like, and then it was like, now back to Vincent.
I think it was because she mentioned they'd worked together kind of in the
Mhm.
past. He saved a little boy. She
Right.
was on the case. I think it was just a connection, and she felt, oh, I know you. I don't feel so awkward talking to Mr. September right now. You know.
Mhm.
I
She
think it
looked
was the one
bored
thing.
to
Oh
me.
yeah.
She looked
Oh.
bored. Even at the end when they were on the date, she looked like she was distracted. Her mind was somewhere else. It's like she's just doing that to appease Tess.
And let's touch base on the fact that she's always dressed so boring. Please, people, like if you're on a date, wear something.
Who, Tess or for?
Both.
Oh,
They're
that's
just like
true.
cops.
Yeah.
I know,
yeah.
but you're not a cop your whole life. Like not every second of your life.
Yeah. I would have loved to seen Tess with some makeup on, like eyeshadow or something. You're going out.
Or lipstick.
Or a
yeah.
dress.
We've all talked about the fact
Any
that we
kind
know
of
she's a
dress.
cute girl. They just don't allow her.
I
to
think
be.
the good thing about the CW and the way they can get away with this is because I think most other CW shows the girls are dressed really nice and they
Mhm.
look really good, got nice bodies, pretty makeup, good hair. I think obviously their demographic is younger women, like our age, and we tune in for the guys. So I mean, yeah, I care what the women look like, but I care more about what the guys look like.
Absolutely.
This is true.
I don't know. That's just me.
I just like seeing Vincent shirtless.
I concur.
Concur.
Nice
But
to have.
side point, like you said earlier, JT, funny guy this episode.
I'm gonna cut you off just because I really like. Well, you know, go ahead. I'm gonna let you go.
I just thought he was funny. And I like when he's in this show. Like I don't like when there's tons of scenes and he's not involved, or like an episode where he's not a big player, because he's funny and I think he genuinely cares about Vincent, and I don't think he's keeping Kat at an arm's length like you were mentioning earlier when we were talking.
Mhm.
I think he honestly feels for Kat now and sees that she cares for him and sees she's invested in this, and that's why I like him even more, because I feel like he really has like strong feelings for his friend and the people his friend cares about.
I feel like he does. He's starting to open up to the idea of her. He started doing that a few episodes ago, but I feel like it wasn't until the very end of this episode was when he really was embracing the fact that she cares about him that much. Because she's even showing a softer side just in the way that she talks about him. You know what I mean? I don't know
Yeah.
if that makes sense at all.
It was a weird episode.
It was.
Yeah.
But my favorite, like the quote of the night, when Vince beasts out and he beasts out on JT. JT ends up having to shoot like a tranquilizer or something on him. And then he said something about, you know what? As Vince is waking up, he's still holding the gun at him. And Vince is like, dude, it's cool. Like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
He's like, no. You know, throw me across the room like a sack of potatoes once. Shame on me.
Yeah, that was funny.
You know,
That
it's
was funny.
like,
But that's why I
wow.
love him, because I don't feel like Tess sometimes is funny, but
Their
nobody-
comedic timing's different.
Yeah, it's just he makes me like giggle like in
Yeah.
the middle of this show, and I feel like it's so intense all the time and so dramatic that you need that little ray of sunshine to pop through every once in a while.
It's like all in the combination of his character and his look and everything else that makes it so
He's
funny
so
too.
goofy looking
Yeah.
and so cute.
But at the same time, it does show that he's not going anywhere. He obviously hasn't for 10 years, but to have your friend do something like go completely crazy on you and throw stuff at you and throw you for that matter and still be standing at his side. And I love that Catherine was the same way too. She, at one point, she was face to face with the Beast and she's still looking at him like he's Vince.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I wanted her to use the gun.
You
when
wanted her
she
to
was
shoot
face
him?
to face with him.
The first time with the tranquilizer, she should have shot him,
Yes.
because then he wouldn't have killed somebody. They still would have gotten the guy. They still would have gotten him.
But we don't know what he would have done to Evan by that time.
I don't
They were
care.
right there.
They were, but he had the knife at Evan's throat at that point when Vincent jumped out.
But she didn't know that.
Exactly.
So she risked Vincent. And Evan could have been killed by Vincent too if Vincent had seen him and
True.
she had distracted him with the bullets.
Right.
I mean, that's where I think the selfish thing comes into play. She wanted her presence to be enough for him, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He still went crazy. And before, she's been able to bring him back, and she couldn't this episode.
Do you really think it's about the selfishness or about the fact that she just didn't want to hurt him?
How are you
It's
hurting
not hurting
him?
him. It's a tranquilizer.
No. Well, that at that point, yes. But I mean, there was a second point where she was face to face with him with a gun, but it was a real gun. It wasn't a tranquilizer gun.
Yeah.
But that's why she shot at the piece of wood on the side. Like I think she's very selfish, and she just wants to see how far she can go. She's always pushing the limit. Always.
She's growing on me.
Yeah. But at the same time, if that is what she's doing, I feel like a subconscious thing.
That's true.
You
She
know what
might
I
not
mean?
be
Like-
aware that she's doing it, but she's always putting him in a situation. She never puts herself in jeopardy.
This is true.
And
This is very
JT said
true.
that. You know, you didn't think about what you were doing to him. She's like, well, Evan could have died. Yeah, but Vincent now has killed somebody, and you don't know what he's doing to himself now. And that's when we reveal that he's like in a
cell.
cage.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. And you can like see her face, how she does like consciously
Care.
realize that.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, okay.
She's always remorseful. It just takes a while for her to understand what
But
her
it's like,
actions
why
are
does
doing.
someone have to die for you to feel remorse?
But I think we
Right.
all do things that are selfish, and you don't realize till after, and somebody's like, you know, you did this, and it really made
That's
me
true.
mad.
Right.
Obviously, the things I do don't result in killings or beasting out or anything
Mhm.
like that. But I think it's a relatable thing. I mean, sometimes we think too much about what we want or what is the best outcome for us, as opposed to what's the best outcome for the people around us.
That's true.
Unfortunately, it's human nature.
Yeah.
You know what I
But
mean?
if your human nature is to comment, you should go to iTunes and rate and comment on our show and all the other shows on AfterBuzz if you're watching them. There's tons of shows. We all do a bunch. I do 3 shows. Alikona was doing 2. One
Yeah.
wrapped.
Yeah, I was doing America's Next Top Model, which it just ended 2 weeks ago, but I am jumping on to Arrow, which started last Wednesday.
Fun.
Yes, I will not be there next week because I'm going out of town to New York, but the week after, you will find me on
Yeah,
Arrow.
but we read your comments, and we care about what you think, and we love a high rating if you feel we deserve it. We work really hard here at AfterBuzz, and we care about what you're saying, and we want to hear about it so we can improve and get better for you. So make sure you go to iTunes, check us out, rate, comment, and obviously tell a friend if you think they would like the show as well. We're always welcome to new viewers. So, so this episode, lots of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff. I think we've talked out a lot of the stuff, but what I do want to end with, and you mentioned earlier, and maybe we can just delve into it a little bit more, is the fact that we conclude that Kat supposedly is the reason for Vince having all these blackouts. And personally, I don't think that's what it is. I think that JT is the first to plant that thought into Vincent's mind and make all these correlations. I still think even though he likes her, he's still always pointing some sort of finger at her. I don't know. What do you guys
But
think?
even the correlations don't even make that much sense because the campus thing, like, I don't see where the relation was. He's
if
like,
it was him that beasted out.
yeah,
But we're leaving it as JT thinking that it wasn't him that did that because it wasn't that boy's blood that got
Well,
killed.
right, but he did beast out.
but he
So
did
it
beast
was
out on the
crazy.
campus,
Yes.
and he said, you know, he heard you coming up the stairs, or
But
when
wasn't
you were
he-
on the camp. Where was she involved with the campus?
But one of the things JT said is it's if he's ever on his way to meet her or if he's on his way to do
That's true.
anything. So he could have been on his way. In fact, he wasn't he? No,
Oh,
that
they
was
were.
the other
Were they
episode.
going out to the camping trip? Maybe that's
No.
why.
No. But 2 weeks ago, because it was such a long time ago, where we last left off, he was on his way to meet up with her, and that's when he passed out and found himself on the top of a
That's
rooftop
true.
and had blood on his hands. This was the ... that went into tonight's episode and continued on. So that's what had happened. He was on his way to see Kat. So it's anything that
Okay.
has to do with the thought of about to be with her, or...
And he heard her voice. So.
Yes.
Okay, well, I have a thing for prediction, so I'll save it for what I predict is the reason it's happening. So I'm gonna hold my thoughts.
Okay. Well, I mean, I have some predictions myself, too.
Well, let's
just
head on
jump
into
our
well,
prediction.
alright.
well, do you want to do your news and gossip first? Do you have anything juicy
Yeah.
for us?
I do. Well, I don't know how juicy it is, but for those of you
AfterBuzz
who haven't read yet, they being Beauty and the Beast, along with Arrow and Emily Owens, MD, is going to be nominated for one of the best new TV dramas
Which is so
for the People's Choice
strange.
Award.
But isn't that strange? Not that we were awarded, not that I'm on the show, but this show was awarded, but like Emily Owen, MD, that just got canceled. I just don't know where these votes are coming from, because if you didn't like the show enough to watch it,
Who nominated them?
Exactly. Well, that means more votes for Beauty and the Beast. because
Exactly.
There's no more
Sam.
Emily Owens to vote for.
Right. So
well,
if you guys are big fans, definitely hop onto the People's Choice Awards website and vote.
vote.
Yes.
Keep the show going.
Exactly.
Yep. Any other news and gossip from you ladies?
No, these people are squeaky clean.
They are. It's a little bit of a shame.
I think they don't do anything. They're in Canada. I think they're just bored. Maybe they just sit in
Probably.
hotels all day.
Exactly.
Go hiking.
What are you guys doing up there?
All right, well then let's just hop into our predictions.
Yes.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I'm gonna go ahead and let you predict first because my prediction might be a little bit of a spoiler.
Okay. My prediction is that, yeah, maybe Kat is the reason he is beasting out, but I think it has something to do with, he didn't start beasting out until a couple episodes ago. And I think it has something to do with maybe when they bumped into those people from Nearfield, and maybe, I don't know, maybe there's something about her or something in her or something, I don't know, something about her medically or DNA-wise that is altering him or something like that. That's something Nearfield is controlling. Not him, because he was seeing her for weeks before this started happening.
Right.
Maybe even months. I don't know, TV time. So I think something's been tainted with her.
I don't know. I feel like it's a coincidence, and it's just something the show is doing to make it seem like another hurdle or another challenge to get past, but it really has absolutely nothing to do with her.
I know, I'm reaching here. But I'm trying to find out why. Like, there's no good explanation for why this randomly started happening, and that's Nearfield created it. Nearfield's the reason for it. I feel like they might be the reason this is happening.
Yeah. I want to just retract a statement because I know I'd made a prediction a couple of weeks ago, and it's correct to an extent. I had mentioned the fact that his wife was coming back. I don't know if I said it as his wife, but it is Vincent's fiance that's going to be popping up in the next few episodes to cause a little bit of trouble in paradise. But there's going to be a few other people popping up as well. I'm not going to say who, but potentially people from his past are going to find out that he is indeed alive after thinking that he's dead. So it's going to start causing a lot more conflict.
His dad is alive. His dad, right? And remember that newspaper guy was like, "Oh, his dad lost so many people. He lost his two sons in the towers, and then his other son in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be so sad if his dad finds out."
Yeah.
I mean, what would you do if you found out your son was
Still
all
alive.
of a sudden alive?
I'd be sad that he didn't come to me, but at the same time, given the really
Circumstances.
rare, situation, I guess I could understand. But
I'd be excited.
yeah,
I don't know
no,
if
that's
I'd be sad. I'd be more excited.
Well, that's juicy.
Yeah.
Getting good.
All right. Well, it looks like we're wrapping everything up for tonight.
All right.
Let's hear you guys' Twitter handles.
Yes, you can find me at Paige Sull on Twitter, and I'm Paige Sullivan, so you can find me on Facebook as well there if you'd like, but you don't have to.
And you can find me on Twitter at I'm Amber J, AMBERJAYE.
And I'm Alikona Bradford. You can find me on Twitter at KissMyPassport or on Facebook and Tumblr under Alikona Bradford. So, thank you guys very much. We can't wait to talk to you again next week.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.